In a country known for its laid-back attitude, why do some personalities ignite such fierce debates? Today, we're uncovering the stories behind Australia's most polarising figures. You won't believe who's made the top 10.
You better take cover. Oh.
A big thank you to our subscribers. I really appreciate the comments you've been leaving. I learned a thing or two from them as well. We are leaving politicians out of the picture today, as honestly that would just be too easy. There are many controversial figures who come to mind in Australia. Some might say it's someone like Eddie Maguire, who has been at the centre of several high-profile scandals. Others might argue it's someone like Alan Joyce, the former CEO of Qantas, who faced much criticism during his tenure at our national airline, or former Aussie Rules star Adam Goodes. But based on various online polls and news headlines, let's see who really makes us look. At number 10, Anthony Mundine. The former rugby league player and professional boxer kicks us off. Mundine has been described as the most polarising athlete in Australian sports history. Apart from sport, he has dabbled in music and even appeared on Burke's Backyard together with his dad, Tony. Mundine's list of controversy could take up 2 hours of tape, so let's just have a look at the highlight reel. Following the World Trade Center attacks on September 11, Mundine stated that America had brought the attacks on themselves and that it wasn't about terrorism, it was about God's law. His comments made international headlines, making him incredibly unpopular during a 2012 trip to the US, where he was ruthlessly heckled at Floyd Mayweather's gym. In 2013, Mundine again made headlines stating that his culture and ancestors created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. In 2018, Mundine had this to say after leaving the TV show, I'm a Celebrity.
Homosexuality is forbidden and you do it and the consequences are capital punishment, death. You think you're going to do it? Or think twice of doing it? Hell no, I won't quit. Never quit, even if I was born like it. I mean, that's the only way to deter the problem.
Up next at number 9, George Pell. A cardinal of the Catholic Church who passed away in 2023, Pell rose to be the third highest ranked Catholic in the Vatican after earlier serving as the Archbishop of Melbourne and the Archbishop of Sydney. He was the most senior Catholic cleric to be convicted of child sex abuse and spent 404 days in solitary confinement in Victoria's Barwon prison, only to later have his convictions overturned. Pell and his supporters believe that he was scapegoated for all the crimes of the Australian Catholic Church's botched response to clergy sexual abuse. Victims and critics say he epitomised everything wrong with how the Church has dealt with the problem. And even after he was acquitted, Pell's reputation remained tarnished by the scandal. Australia's Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse found that he knew of clergy molesting children in the 1970s and did nothing to address it. Many were left frustrated that he died without accountability for his alleged role in church abuse and cover-ups, with protests held even at his funeral in Sydney. For others, Pell was seen as a scapegoat. His supporters included former Prime Ministers John Howard and Tony Abbott, who had this to say at his funeral.
He was made a scapegoat for the church itself. He should never have been investigated in the absence of a complaint.
On to number 8, Rolf Harris. Evil and disgraced. Rolf Harris was a once beloved children's TV personality, a fixture on the tube for decades and probably even more popular in the UK than in his native Australia. He was also a singer, artist and presenter. He even painted and met the late Queen Elizabeth II. But his reputation and career were trashed forever when he was convicted of sexually assaulting young girls in 2013. He was found guilty of a dozen counts of indecent assault on 4 young girls in attacks that dated as far back as the 1960s.
Children's entertainer and serial child molester Rolf Harris guilty on all counts.
Among the victims was a friend of Harris's daughter. He was found guilty of molesting his daughter's friend from age 13 to 19 after he tried to argue that their relationship was consensual. Another was a young girl hoping to get his autograph. She was 8 years old. A judge sentenced Harris to 5 years and 9 months in prison. He spent the last years of his life waging a public relations campaign in an attempt to distract from his record as a desperate sexual predator before dying in 2023. And in the end, Rolf Harris will be remembered as a disgusting predator and criminal. Moving on to number 7, Gerry Harvey. Best known for being the co-founder of Australian retail chain Harvey Norman, Harvey is one of the richest people in the country. His interests also include the racing industry, owning more than 600 thoroughbreds and a 50% share in the Magic Millions. Honestly, I was a little surprised to see him on the list, but when you look at the controversies, it's understandable why many people dislike the man. He was vilified for describing COVID-19 as an opportunity for profit-making. In an now infamous interview on 60 Minutes, the billionaire described COVID-19 as a great business opportunity, and it turns out he was right. As lockdowns forced many to stay at home, sales of furniture, homewares, and appliances went through the roof. As a result, his retail chain Harvey Norman more than doubled its profits to $462 million. Harvey, who owns more than 30% of the company, reaped more than $70 million in dividends. Financial prosperity did not, however, mean that Harvey Norman was above taking government handouts. The company raked in an additional $22 million in job seeker wage subsidies that were intended to prevent struggling businesses from implementing layoffs. The company then appealed for volunteers to help with the busy back-to-school period. In return for their services, those volunteers received vouchers and store credits. At number 6, Bianca Censori. Another one that surprised me. The 30-year-old architecture graduate from the University of Melbourne rose to fame or infamy when she married American rapper Kanye West in a private ceremony in 2022. The following year, the couple posted photos of themselves on board a water taxi in Italy, with West's pants pulled down, exposing his butt, and Censori's head in his lap, drawing an investigation by Italian police into public indecency. She was then photographed in a see-through raincoat in 2024 and made a similar appearance at an LA restaurant soon after. But the biggest controversy so far came at the 2025 Grammy Awards, where she disrobed to reveal a sheer, transparent slip, revealing her fully naked body for everyone to see. Now, my question on this is, if someone who was not a celebrity was to dress in this way, would they not be arrested? I'm sure that if I was to wear a sheer slip through Martin Place in Sydney, I'd probably be arrested pretty quickly and also given a psych evaluation as well. On to number 5, Alan Jones. The former radio talkback host and coach of the Wallabies, Jones hosted a breakfast radio show on Sydney's 2GB for 18 years. He was one of the highest paid media personalities and one of Australia's most divisive figures. His on-air conduct received adverse findings from Australia's media regulators, and he's frequently been sued for defamation, including sparking international outrage for suggesting the Australian Prime Minister at the time, Scott Morrison, shove a sock down the throat of the New Zealand Prime Minister.
Clown, Jacinda Ardern, a complete clown. I just wonder whether Scott Morrison's going to be fully briefed to shove a sock down the throat. I mean, she is a joke, this woman, and an absolute and utter lightweight. Why the hell are we listening to Jacinda Ardern? If I see her once more on the TV, I'll...
In November 24, Jones was arrested and charged with 26 offences against 8 alleged victims between 2001 and 2019, including aggravated indecent assault and common assault. The youngest alleged victim was 17 at the time. Jones has pled not guilty to all charges. Kicking goals at number 4, it's Sam Kerr. One of the highest profile female soccer players in the world, Australia's Sam Kerr has made a legend of herself in the game, playing for the Matildas and for Chelsea. But it's off the pitch that she's rapidly become controversial. A drunken incident in the early hours of January 30th, 2023 in southwest London, where it was alleged that Kerr became abusive and insulting towards a Metro police officer and was charged with causing racially aggravated harassment, where she supposedly told the officer he was stupid and white. She was found not guilty after a trial in early 2025, but many Australians have called for her sacking as the captain of the national team and even her exclusion from it entirely. There's been widespread debate about her character and whether she is a suitable role model for young fans. It's been argued that had Kerr stated, "You're stupid and black," instead of white, that the situation would have been completely different. Off to number 3 we go, Gunn. Has there ever been a big of a controversy from the Olympics for someone that failed to score a single point? A 36-year-old Macquarie University lecturer who lost all 3 of her Olympic battles wearing a green Aussie trackie and performing stunts like the kangaroo hop and the sprinkler. Rachael Gunn, the Sydney-born breakdancer, became an online sensation after her Paris trip, which many argued she treated as a vacation. She went on to retire from the sport several months later, citing that the viral response to her performance and the prospect of being scrutinised by so many online changed her experiences of competing, and going forward, she would only dance for personal enjoyment. There were allegations that she had rigged Olympic selections by setting up her own governing body, running the Olympic qualifiers, and installing her husband as a coach for the national breakdancing team. Now, these allegations turned out to be false, but they all contributed to the overall feelings of dislike and mistrust towards her. So here's my take on Gunn. She missed a massive opportunity here. Instead of being upset with a backlash, think of the opportunities that she could have had. The face of Outback Steakhouse, featured in a Qantas commercial, a model for Bond's tracksuit. On to number 2, and it's Kyle Sandilands. Radio host, shock jock, and TV personality known to some as Vile Kyle. He is well known for publicly expressing homophobic, sexist, misogynist, and bullying views, and for his controversial on-air stunts. On the 2006 season of Australian Idol, the former panellist openly admitted to judging Australian Idol contestants' future success based on their weight. He told a 16-year-old Jessica Malboy to lose the jelly belly. In 2009, a radio segment involved a distressed teenager who was asked to discuss her sexual history live on air. After initially sounding very uncomfortable with the questioning, the girl began crying and said she had been raped when she was 12. Sandilands replied,
"And is that the only experience you've had?"
The same year he stated that actress Magda Sabansky could be skinny if she were in a concentration camp. In 2019, he stated that the Virgin Mary was chock-a-blocked behind the camel shed. And in 2022, Sandilands claimed that monkeypox was a big gay disease and that only the gays are contracting monkeypox. A group known as Mad Effing Witches has been contacting his advertisers, threatening to boycott their products if they keep advertising on his controversial program. And we move on to the number 1 most hated and most controversial person in the land down under, Belle Gibson. Australian wellness influencer Belle Gibson shot to fame around 2013 with claims that she had survived cancer thanks to healthy eating and natural remedies. By posting regularly to her now deleted Instagram account, Belle grew a loyal following of devotees, clinging to her advice on how to cure cancer with a nutritional diet. In the space of a few years, Gibson went from an anonymous teenager to the head of a wellness empire. She claimed on several occasions in 2014 that the whole pantry had donated approximately $300,000 to charities, including maternal health care in developing nations, medical support for children with cancer, and schools in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, after reports identified these claims to be fraudulent, media investigation found that she had also fabricated her stories of cancer and lied about her age, personal life, and history. It turned out Gibson had never been diagnosed with cancer. In 2015, she gave an interview to the Australian Women's Weekly in which she admitted to having fabricated all her cancer stories. She attributed her deceit to her upbringing, claiming to have been forced to take care of herself and her brother since the age of 5. A brother who she also falsely claimed was autistic. Then the infamous 60 Minutes interview with Tara Brown.
He said to me that I had a stage 4 brain tumour and that I had approximately 4 months to live.
So did you lie to be believed, is the question?
I didn't see him in his doctor's office in Perth.
You didn't see him in his doctor's office ever because he doesn't have an office, does he?
No.
Right. You claimed, also in your book, that you underwent chemotherapy and radiotherapy for 2 months. True or false?
At the time...
True or false?
True, because at the time I believed I was having radiotherapy.
So, false.
Not only had Gibson duped the world and made over $1 million from her fraud, she had also scammed cancer sufferers into believing her lies, pulling many away from traditional medicines in the hope that, like her, they could cure their disease by eating healthy. Gibson is still in the news, with the Netflix series Search for Instagram's Worst Con Artists featuring her story, and in 2025, a new version titled Apple Cider Vinegar. Public figures in Australia, or anywhere else for that matter, face a unique set of challenges. They're under constant scrutiny, with every move they make being analysed and criticised by the public and the media. So what did you guys think? Do you have any favourite or least favourite public figures in Australia? Let us know in the comments below. And if you are hungry for more Aussie content, check out this playlist, which has a whole range of different topics such as food, crime, and travel. Hooroo, mateys.